Some people draw a crowd no matter where they go. It doesn't matter if it's a superhuman talent, a strange mutation, or just looking really weird.
My question is, what the hell?
Unusual people steal the limelight with their mind-bending abilities and shocking appearances. Ready to meet these odd humans and their freakish talents? Let's get it on! Hasna Muslimani. Back in 1996, 12-year-old Hasna Muslimani from eastern Lebanon reported a very strange and uncomfortable condition. While most people cry normal tears, Hasna sheds up to 10 pieces of crystal-like glass every day. The unusual phenomenon started one morning when Hasna told her mother that she felt a strange sensation coming from below her eye. Rushed to the local hospital, Dr. Ahmed Araji assessed the panicked girl and removed 3 big pieces of glass from her eye. Since returning home, Hasna has continued to shed around 7 to 8 pieces of glass daily without any apparent harm being done to the eye. While her parents claim it's a miracle, doctors at the American University Hospital in Beirut insist on a scientific explanation of the phenomenon. Dr. Baha Nureddin said some people produce tears which solidify when they come into contact with air, but that was the first time he'd seen an eye shedding glass. Since Hasna's story became public, people from all over the world have come to buy one of her eye crystals, with many believing it can heal the sick. Raj Mahajan Nair. It should be obvious, but this one definitely counts as a don't try this at home. Raj Mahajan Nair of India was only 7 years old when he tragically lost his mother. Devastated by his mother's death, the young boy decided he wanted to end his life as well. Raj climbed a transformer and grabbed a live wire, but to his confusion, nothing happened. Despite contravening every known law of physics, Raj discovered he was totally immune to electricity. Throughout the years, scientists, doctors, and even electricians have examined Raj to try and discover the truth behind his shocking condition. While 1/10 of an amp is enough to kill the average human, Raj is able to withstand several amps of electricity flowing through his body without even a flinch. His superpower has become somewhat of a parlor trick, with Raj placing a live wire directly on his tongue while powering a light bulb. Gary Turner. Gary Stretch Turner is the stretchiest man on earth. Think Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four, only Gary is a middle-aged man from Lincolnshire, England. On October 29, 1999 in Los Angeles, he stretched the skin on his abdomen to a total length of 6.25 inches, earning him the Guinness World Record for stretchiest skin. His skin is so loose, he can turn his belly into a skin shelf that can hold 3 pints of beer and an ashtray. Gary was born with an extremely rare case of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a genetic disorder that's weakened his skin. Gary discovered his unique talent as a small 3-year-old child, when his 10-year-old uncle used to stretch and pull his skin as a parlor trick for his friends. Quite a life-changing revelation if you ask me. Alexi Golobarodko. Most people consider themselves flexible if they can touch their toes, but for Alexi Golobarodko, his talents stretch much further. Known as the most flexible man in the world, Alexi started practicing at just 4 years old in his hometown of Tula in Russia. He's almost 25 now and says it's literally taken him 20 years to get to this level of expertise. Alexi trains up to 5 hours a day to maintain his flexibility, with 5 stretching and cardio sessions throughout the day. Alexi enjoys his work and is clearly proud, as he knows that he's the only person in the world who can do some of these tricks. In 2019, Alexi's childhood dream came true when he was selected as one of 45 performers traveling with the Cirque du Soleil show. What this guy can do will blow your mind, or should I say, bend it. Alexi often gets asked if he has bones. His answer? Yes, I have bones, but when I go to work, I leave them at home. Elaine Roberts. Known as the French Spider-Man, this crazy daredevil takes his unique skills to new heights. The 58-year-old uses his bare hands without the safety of ropes or tools to free climb some of the world's greatest buildings. His first skyscraper adventure was in Chicago, when Elaine scaled the 588-foot Citicorp Center Tower, much to the excitement and horror of onlookers. Since then, he's climbed the Burj Khalifa, Eiffel Tower, the Sydney Opera House, and even the Empire State Building. He's regularly arrested for these stunts, but it doesn't seem to deter him from attempting such death-defying climbs. He's scaled over 100 buildings in his career with no plan on stopping. It's hard to believe that as a child, Elaine was afraid of heights. After dealing with his own phobias, he wanted to inspire others to conquer their fears as well. Christina Zenato. Christina Zenato has always felt an affinity for the sea, and this naturally drove her towards scuba diving and snorkeling. After swapping her hometown in Italy for the Bahamas, Christina found a love of sharks and has spent over 20 years studying their behavior and campaigning for their conservation. It all started when a shark approached Christina with a barbed hook sticking from its throat. On a whim, Christina removed the hook and the grateful shark swam away. Word obviously got around because soon, more and more sharks with discarded fishhooks came looking for Christina's help. She quickly earned the nickname the Shark Whisperer. emperor. And not just because she hasn't ended up as shark bait. Christina's unusually strong bond with these ancient predators has allowed her to develop a strange technique that puts these 8.5-foot Caribbean reef sharks in a submissive, trance-like state with just a touch. To Meeve Ostogob. The world of MMA has grown increasingly popular over the years. More and more young men and women are getting into high-contact martial arts. In particular, one young Russian teenage boy has been nicknamed the Hulk, and it's not because he's green. Meve's MMA debut has already pulled in over 6 million views, but it's not just his fighting skills that are the main attraction. The Russian KGB Hulk developed his extraordinary body by weightlifting with farm equipment. Meve's unconventional training regime includes wrapping one end of a band around his head, with the other end tied to 3 cars. The strongman then tows 3 cars using only the power of his neck. This exercise is so demanding that it results in Meve's impressively girthy neck, which measures a whopping 18.9 inches around. So far, Meve's yet to be knocked out via chokehold, and we can see why. Brian Shaw. If you ever need help opening the pickle jar, well, Brian Shaw is your man. The professional strongman set a record in 2011 for being the first person ever to win both the Arnold Strongman Classic and the World's Strongest Man contest in the same calendar year. Towering above all others at 6'8" and weighing over 400 pounds, Brian Shaw is a giant walking among us. A lot of training is required to maintain his strength and physique, not to mention the crazy amounts of food he has to devour. Most days he's eating a dozen eggs, consuming around 6,000 calories a day. This human mountain can deadlift a crazy 1,140 pounds in the gym. Although not as heavy, easily lifted this Nissan Versa clear off the driveway, just because. Tron Van Hay. As a young man, Tron Van Hay visited a barber shop for a routine haircut. Not long after, he would fall severely ill. Traumatized by the illness that followed, Tran logically concluded that his haircut was to blame and vowed to never again chop off his luscious locks. Instead, he hid his hair under a headscarf, and over time, his headscarf would substantially grow in size. Inspired by the Buddhist monks, Tran eventually decided to dedicate his life to helping others, becoming an herbal doctor while treating the majority of his patients for free. More than 50 years later, Tran unveiled what lies beneath his headscarf to the world, only to discover one massive unidread that the locals likened to an anaconda. It was 22.5 feet long and weighing an astonishing 23 pounds. In images that you can literally smell, Tron said he hasn't washed this giant mat of hair in decades and has plans for it when he dies. His long-suffering wife agreed to his final wishes, and in 2010, after Tran passed away, the unidread was removed so she could continue to care for it. Tim Steiner. Tim Steiner is the proud owner of one of the world's most exquisite artworks. Except there's no paint, no paper canvas. There's just Tim. Enter Tim Steiner, the man who literally sold himself, or at least his back. While I'm sure you're thinking, isn't that kind of illegal? Well, not in this very specific case. An experimental tattoo artist paid Tim to be able to use his back as a living canvas, working over 40 hours on this intricate work of ink. He then managed to find a German art collector to actually purchase the piece for $150,000. When Tim meets his end, the art on his back will be cut off and preserved under glass, like a real piece of canvas. While that might seem a bit morbid, Tim is totally on board with being part of this artistic experiment. Plus, the 30% cut he got from the deal didn't hurt.